Greetings, pet lovers. Bridget here with First Street Pets, and today we're going to talk about, should you give pets as gifts? This is a controversial subject, sure to cause a lively conversation in any group of animal people. For many years in animal welfare, we preached the word that giving animals as gifts was bad, very bad. And most people will agree with that. We felt that animals who were given as gifts would soon be abandoned, would be given away or taken to the nearest animal shelter because the person receiving them wasn't serious, wasn't thinking about the commitment, and would be inconvenienced by receiving that animal. Well, as it turns out, we may be wrong. Times are changing in animal welfare, and probably since the early 2000s, a lot has been happening more quickly than in previous generations. Thanks to the influence of organizations like Maddie's Fund, Humane Society of the United States, UC Davis, we've been taking a more critical look at a lot of issues in animal welfare and setting aside things that we believed for so long without any kind of scientific proof or backing. We simply believed because these things sounded logical that they were true without having any actual facts to back them up. So in 2013, the ASPCA did a study in which they found some surprising results. This study involved animals given as gifts. What they found was that 96% of the individuals who had received an animal as a gift saw it as something positive, wanted the animal, and believe it or not, actually had more of an attachment to the animal because it was connected with a person or an event. It was probably given to them by a loved one, like a spouse, a parent, or a very close friend at their birthday or a holiday. So there was even more meaning wrapped up into the animal than if they had chosen it for themselves. So that was a surprising result. After the study, it was found that 86% of those pets were still in the home, in the recipient's home, which is certainly no better of a track record than animals obtained from any other source, whether adopting from a shelter, a rescue, buying from a breeder, or just finding the animal and keeping them. In 2008, I started becoming involved with Mission Reunite, which I'm still very involved with today. And what I learned through that organization and their work is that many animals in shelters are not abandoned or dumped. They are actually lost pets that their owners can't find them, don't know where to look. There's a million reasons why. You can check out the Mission Reunite website to learn more about that. But all of these things kind of helped us open our eyes to see what was really going on out there and what really are the best decisions for people to make around pets. As far as folks who do give up a pet, there's no reason to be ashamed of having to do that or to judge someone who does. People give up pets for a number of valid reasons, including their own health or financial issues, health or financial issues around the pet. They may not fit into their home. They may not get along with other animals. They may not be good with children. They might even bite someone. There can be any number of issues. Some people have housing issues. I know here in Northern California, housing is really at a premium right now. It's very expensive. Many places don't want to allow pets. So there's a lot of challenges today to people in owning and caring for pets. So there's no reason to judge someone who has to give up an animal. We find that most people who do don't want to, and they find that that's their last option after trying out other things that didn't work for them. So I guess the point is, if an adoption or purchase or gift of an animal doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. Sometimes people aren't able to keep a pet. We can't just keep seeing that as a negative. It's actually a positive to realize something isn't working out for you and start taking steps sooner rather than later to rehome the pet. So if you are thinking about giving a pet as a gift, use common sense. Give it some thought. Obviously, if you're giving a pet to your child, you are going to be the primary caregiver. Now, pets are a great way for children to learn about responsibility and empathy, but realistically, you'll be the one overseeing this process, and you don't really know how it's going to work out. It may kind of be a trial run if the child hasn't had that level of responsibility before. Now, you have to take into consideration your child's age and personality as to what they will be able to do, and remember in the level of responsibility they can have. So although it may be a good experience for them, just understand that you're going to be the primary caregiver and choose a pet accordingly. If you're gifting a pet to a spouse or significant other, you will both be the caregivers. You're living in the same home, you're in a committed relationship, although often a pet will bond more with one person than with another. Just recognize that you will both be providing care for the pet. And do your research, because this pet will be living with both of you in your home, to find out if that type of animal is suitable for you, especially with dogs. Dog breeds vary quite a bit in their activity level and needs and grooming and exercise and so forth. So look realistically at your lifestyle with your spouse and choose accordingly, because the last thing you want is for a pet to bring stress on your marriage and cause arguments. When gifting to someone outside of your home, give it special consideration. Sometimes people can talk a lot about wanting something, but it's just talk. They're not really ready to make that decision. So it's a good idea to discuss it with them and find out 100%. I mean, it may spoil the surprise, but at least you know for sure that they do want a dog or a cat or a rabbit or whatever it is that they're thinking about getting into their life. And that way you'll know for sure that this is a good choice for a gift. You can also talk to their spouse or a close family member, someone who knows 100% what that person wants and is ready to have in their life. Sometimes people miss the mark. I recall a dog that I cared for many years ago. This elderly man named Frank, God rest him, he passed away a long time ago. He was about 85 years old when I met him. Super nice guy. His wife had passed away. He had a heart problem. He wasn't in great health. He and his wife had had German Shepherds all their life. That was their thing. And when one passed away, they'd get another one. Well, his wife had passed away. The dog had passed away. So his adult children thought it was a good idea to get him a new dog to liven him up, give him something to do. So they bought him an Australian Shepherd puppy. So first of all, at his age and health, the puppy was not a great idea. And an Australian Shepherd is not the same thing as a German Shepherd. So that's when I met him. He had called me to come and give the dog walks and help provide care for him. He made the best of it. He cared for the dog. He played ball with him in the yard every day, and I took the dog for walks. So he made it work, but it was not a great choice for him in that situation. So sometimes you may really mean well, but you kind of miss the mark, and that's not the kind of pet that a person really wants or needs. Before gifting, you want to consider the type of pet. So cats and dogs, as most of us know, live about 15 years or sometimes more. Little dogs and some cats can make it to 18, 19, even 20. So that's a pretty long-term commitment. Cats require feeding, attention, care. Are you going to keep them inside, allow them outside? Dogs require a pretty high level of care, not just food and housing and exercise, but they need to go outside to go to the bathroom. They need walks. You're going to need a sitter when you go out of town, when the recipient goes out of town. So there's a high level of care and expense with dogs and cats to be considered when giving a gift. Can the recipient afford this? Are they able to keep pets in their home? Are they renting, and is that allowed? Do they live with others who may not look in favor on having a pet that they also have to deal with and provide care for? So you want to think about these things before choosing the type of pet. Horses, I'm a horse person, as you know from my videos. They make wonderful companions and I love them, but they are quite expensive to care for, especially if you have to keep them at a boarding stable. You're paying a monthly fee like a rent, in addition to their feed and hoof care and many other things. So a horse is quite an expensive animal to have, even though they are wonderful to have in one's life. So this is something that requires a much higher level of thought and consideration before giving someone an animal like a horse. This may be suitable for your child, your spouse, someone with whom you are very close and you know that's what they want, or maybe there's a horse they already want, or one that they're riding in their lessons that they would really want to own or perhaps lease or have some lessons for. So that's another way to give them something without giving them the whole responsibility of a horse, is care. Smaller pets like rats, mice, hamsters, other pocket pets can be a better choice for younger kids, for those, if you're not sure what their level of commitment is. These animals aren't very expensive to purchase and keep, and they don't live very long. That's sad for those of us who love them, but for a parent who doesn't want a 15-year responsibility if their child changes their mind about having a pet, an animal that lives 2, 3, 4 years may be a better choice. But still, these animals require care. You need to understand what type of housing they need, cleaning the cages, what type of food they need to be healthy, and what they need to be happy in their well-being. So it does require some level of consideration, but they're also a much lower level than, say, a dog, a cat, or a horse. And if you think that's crazy, I actually know someone who gave a family a horse. It wasn't a great idea, but I think they made it work out. There wasn't a lot of thought that went into it. A good alternative to actually adopting or purchasing a pet and physically giving it to the recipient is to give them a nice gift basket. You can make it really cute with, say, toys and bedding, maybe a leash and treats and things that pet may need. Make it really cute and gift it to them with a certificate that you can print saying that you will purchase or adopt that pet of their choice. That's a nice way to have a physical thing to put under the tree or give to them for whatever occasion, and then they can choose the pet that they want. Alternately, they can opt out if they realize that you were mistaken and they didn't really want a pet at this time. You can donate those items to your local shelter. No harm, no foul, and there's no pet. Because after all, if your gift is not well received, you may find yourself as the proud owner of a new pet. Thank you for watching. Happy holidays from First Street Pets.